So today, we are so lucky to have Al Diaz with us, who has been shooting photos all over Miami since he was basically a kid, a teenager. You know, got a job as an intern with Miami Herald, and the rest is history. So, you know, every time he gets a call and they send him somewhere, there's a plane crash or there's a political event or a riot or something going on, that you were here with the days of the Cocaine Cowboys and all this illustrious Miami Vice stuff. And so we're just so pleased today to have Al with us to reflect on some of the stuff that he was there to see and capture, and what he captured now goes into local history, doesn't it? So ladies and gentlemen, Al Diaz.
Thank you, Rob, for having me.
Yes.
All right, so as a photojournalist working for the Miami Herald, I'm always looking ahead, moving forward, shooting every day. And I rarely stop to look back at my body of work, but I have done it. And I do present at colleges and high schools, and usually journalists or photojournalists. But those presentations, I totally blew them up for you guys, because this is more about historical context. And so there is a little bit about photojournalism and what I do for a living, but most of it's a story about Miami. I try to make it as Miami-centric as possible. So, do I need to share it first?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does it look good so far?
Mm-hmm. Turn up the volume a bit. Yeah.
It's going to start right there. There's Miami Herald trucks. This is about the only I might have a couple of pictures in here that aren't mine. This is one of the old ones from the 20s of Miami Herald delivery trucks. Remember Miami Herald delivery newspaper? So let's see if this works now.
Al, you have a mic, right? If you want to use it.
Yeah. I don't know about the feedback. So we're okay. There we go. Let's see if we can get this to work now. All right, where it all started. That's where I'm going to begin. Way back in, I went to school, LaSalle, Immaculata LaSalle, is right next between Biscaya and Mercy Hospital. And back in when I was a freshman in ILS, 1972. I walked into a classroom and I saw a fellow in there, Gus Pupo Mayo, and he had that floodlight just like that. He had some, that circle, triangle, and square, and he was illuminating it with this floodlight. I said, Gus, what are you doing? And he was older than me. Everybody looked up to him because he was one of the only kids that would walk around school with a briefcase. So he's a smart guy. And I started paying attention to what he said. And he says, oh, I'm taking a photography class through the mail, and this is one of my lessons. And oh, okay. And he says, Al, you should join the camera club. Oh, okay. And I'm a freshman, so I did. So that's Gus in the middle. Oh, that's Gus in the middle. And that's me up on the top right. Mercy Palomo is on the left. She actually is my neighbor now. But we joined, I see, it's great to see all these familiar faces. You spotted Alan Maboon back there. Alan Crockwell. I better not. Oh, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So anyway, so I went out and joined the club, and I started mowing lawns around the neighborhood, saved enough money to buy my first camera. So I was a freshman, and I started taking pictures of my friends in the neighborhood. At LaSalle, I would take pictures. Let's see if we can get rid of this echo. Maybe let me turn this down. I'm gonna mute that until I run a video. Okay, so I'd be around school taking pictures, and then I shot a couple of weddings, and this is my friends, childhood friends that I took pictures of, it's like, oh, it was fun, but I wasn't really into it. And that's me in high school, probably my senior year. That's the camera, my first camera I bought, Mamiya Secor 500 DTL, and And one thing when I would come home from football practice, I'd get the Miami News and I'd look at the paper every day. And so I was, noticing the pictures and I really was into it. I didn't read it, of course, I looked at the pictures. And one of the standout photographers was Michael O'Brien. And I would play a game where I would cover the photos and try to figure out who the photographer was. And if it's, and it depended, sometimes I got good enough where I could recognize the style of the photography and figure out who shot what. And these are all Michael's pictures. And the one I wanted to show was a story he did on Calmer, which is Overtown area. And I remember today coming home from football practice, sitting on a chair, a sofa chair in the living room, and seeing his work, and be blown away by this double truck, massive coverage of Calmer. And he won a Robert F. Kennedy Award for it. And it's amazing. So throughout my career, I photographed, celebrities and famous people and, athletes and all that. And I've always puzzled why people get so emotional about it. And they would, cry and emotional and screaming. It's like, whatever, but it was interesting. And then we recently had a memorial service for Michael Carlback, who was a professor, photojournalism professor at the University of Miami. And we had a celebration of life. This was a few weeks ago. And Michael O'Brien shows up. And I hadn't seen him. I've only met him once or twice, maybe, when I was young, in college. And so 40 years later, he walks in the room. And all of a sudden, I got all emotional. I'm almost crying. I mean, I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes. And I give him a big hug, because it was him that got me into this career. And so I told him, and I told him how I felt, and I told him, Michael, you are my celebrity. Because I've never been so emotional about someone like that. And he started my career, he influenced it. So now, do you all remember Snow in Miami? Okay, so that's one of my collectibles. Actually, it's my wife's, it's her cup. It's my wife's in here. So, and then, I'm taking pictures of everything. So it snowed in Miami. So I went out and took a picture of my dad, and that's my car, the Duster. All right. So, anyway, so I went to, after graduating from LaSalle, went to Miami-Dade College and had, working with the staffers there, including Stan Batts, who was another photographer. And he told, we knew that we had to go out and photograph every day. We were building a portfolio, right? And I'm working for the school paper. I worked at the school paper in high school, the yearbook, and now I go with 11 portfolio to Miami-Dade South. I get a job. I'm working for the Catalyst now, the school paper at Miami-Dade South. And so Stan and I go to a concert as one of our things that we would do in our time off. We just go and take pictures, right? And he introduced me Kathy Willens. Kathy was formerly a staffer of the Miami News, then she went to the Associated Press. And this is 1979, more or less. And she says, Al, come by and visit us at the office, the AP office on Biscayne Boulevard. So I did, and that's at Miami Stadium, baseball stadium. And I took that picture of Kathy, getting autographs, not autographs, IDs for someone she photographed. So now I go hang out at the AP office, and I just don't want to leave. I just go meeting all the photographers there, and it's like, this is amazing. Okay, this is Phil Stanley. He was one of my McCarthy and Phil are my early mentors. Okay, and Phil's like God to me. I would get near him, I'd get all nervous and everything. But he was a good guy, and he always meant well. He started a lot of careers, shooting for the AP and including myself. So I'm getting ready to graduate from Miami-Dade College. I was working there at the paper, and then I started working for the sports information department. So I was taking a lot of sports, soccer, baseball, basketball for Miami-Dade College, and then I had a gap year where I took a year off from school, and I went to work at Rich Photos, which was on Flagler Street. I don't know if you know, it was a film processing, photo finishing store. And I worked there. One of the things when I was preparing, I'm getting nervous. So one of the things I did is I prepared all these pictures. I got way too many. And I spent the last 2 weeks preparing for this thing. But the last thing I didn't do was create a script. So I'm getting lost. So I'm trying to ad-lib as much as possible. And then I'm like, where am I? All right. So anyway, so I have the year off and I get a job at the West Kendall Gazette and I start taking pictures for the West Kendall Gazette. And then the same publisher had the Dolphin Digest, which was Tom Curtis. He was a former Miami Dolphin player. And so now I'm going to Dolphin games and shooting games and stuff and work for the Dolphin Digest. And I get to shoot Larry Zonka, 1979, come across 1979, 1980, comes back to the Dolphins. He had left and come back. He went to Canada, some football league up there, and then came back. And so I get him, barreling through, scoring a touchdown. And still today, that's one of my favorite sports pictures. But and then I'm going to Miami, the Miami Marina, taking pictures of boat races. Got my cousin. These are my cousins, by the way. Hold on. I lost something. Go back. Let's see. Oh, it's just gone. I just bought this remote yesterday, so I don't know how to use it. There it is. Let's see. There's a forward and a back on this remote. Okay, so those are my 3 cousins. They're young ladies. Yes. There's a whole story on that. There's a whole story on the husband of one of the women there, and Tom Adams, who owned I can't remember the name of the company.
It was one of the boats.
One of the boats. It's not cigarette. Anyways, so he put me up in a chopper, and anyway, so I'm because I'm in school, I'm getting and doing stuff for the West Kendall Gazette and all this stuff. I'm meeting all these people. This guy is he's a comedian. You guys remember him? Paul Lynn. There you go. And let me find my place in the. I'm lost. But so that's Paul Lynn. Steve Clark was at the Orange Bowl. He's visiting the Orange Bowl. He's there. There it is. Paul Lynn and Steve Clark. All right. So then now I've got a car. And in that car that's my Dodge Duster. And in that car I have a CD radio. And today, Janice, right here, walks in the room and says, Al, do you remember we used to have CD? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And so she reminded me, and we went back 48 years ago. I knew Janice, and I would go chasing Janice with my CB radio. And, hey, time for Marissa Sake Alive. Are you around, Tabor? And I had that Southern drawl kick in. My next door neighbor was a World War I veteran, had a real Southern accent. And so I picked it up real easy whenever I need to. So anyways, I installed a police scanner in the car. And it had 4 channels. And I turned it on, literally turned it on. And I hear this police officer screaming for backup. I need backup, truck bus, blah, blah, blah. So I go to this is just a few blocks from my house.
Wow.
And I live on Northwest 7th Street and 20th Court.
Wow.
22nd Avenue Northwest, kind of like where where they say Fidel Castro lived on that Coral Rock house on 7th Street. Yeah, I was right down the street from that.
Wow.
So anyway, so I get to this drug bus and I'm across it. Those little 6 streets of Miami. It's like, I'm from here to the wall. Taking these pictures of these guys, no yellow tape, and so I get all these pictures, and the suspects are coming out of the car. This is 1979. Wow. Okay, it's got. Oh wait, I got a pointer here. Cocaine Cowboys, right? There he is. Right, so I'm getting all this stuff, and And I'm trying to figure out who this lady is.
Is that Griselda?
No, I don't think so. I've zoomed in on that and looked at her mugshot, and it's like, she doesn't have the right chin. But who is she? I want to know. But anyways, so I take my film to the AP, I go to Phil Sandlin, hey, Phil, I got this, I got some pictures of this truck bus. You want to look at it? So he looks at, swoops the film. They put 5 pictures on the wire, and now I'm in.
Wow.
Okay, this is the, now now they're taking me seriously. So this is a proof sheet of that day and a bunch of other, some of the pictures, I had, a few rolls, this is just one roll. And I selected the pictures and they put them on the wire. Phil edited. Now I'm covering George Bush running for president in 1980. He didn't make it that year, but I'm not, this is Southwest 8th Street.
Yeah.
What was the name of that restaurant on that Southwest 8th Street? It was other than Versailles, there was another restaurant. No, no, it was Hacienda.
That's where we used to eat.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's before Versailles. It kind of had, well, anyways, it had a dome on it.
Oh.
Centro Vasco.
Yeah.
Centro Vasco. It's right in front.
Yeah.
It's right in front of them. Wow. Yeah, all these, anyways. So 1980, got the McDuffie riots. So I run out there and take pictures. I was at the AP office and I go home and I'm, near Citrus Grove, right? So I go home and I drove by the Metro Justice Building, Metro Justice Building on, kind of the,
Downtown.
downtown near Jackson Hospital.
One of the tallest.
And that's where the riot, that's where they start turning over police car and burning and all that. And I just driven by that, I missed all that, but I hear about the riots. So the next morning I go out and start shooting on, going out and take pictures. And so this is some of the stuff. And, they put it on the wires. And I went out with other photographers from the AP and it was kind of a pest, I guess, but I learned a lot and took advantage of this. It's my gap year. That's what you do. You learn and you try to develop your portfolio and build your experience. So one of the things I did for class, Miami-Dade, and I wrote a story about Cuban commandos training to overthrow the Fidel Castro, or at least supporting a revolution against Fidel Castro. So I go out in the Everglades and I take pictures of the Cuban commandos. Okay, and I actually wrote a story for class. And so here's this guy. And then I go, at the year's over, I've done earning as much money as I can so I can have money when I go to college at University of Florida. And I go to the Alligator, I go to the editor, and I say, hey, hire me for the Alligator, and you can use my Cuban commando story and photos. And they did. And then now I'm working for the Alligator. So I'm developing a portfolio and building up experience. So this is on Bird Road out west. It's probably all developed now, but it was the Everglades back then. And this guy on the top right, that's Bombillo. And I don't remember his real name, but Bombillo, they call him that because he was always full of good ideas. So they called him Bombillo. All right, now I'm at the shooting Gatortown and taking pictures of sports and earning experience covering all this stuff. Met some of my friends. It's Kevin Kolshinsky. He ended up being a photographer for Universal Studios. Is their chief photographer. Tom Burton, he was a classmate at Gainesville and University of Florida. And I knew then, when we were students, that one day he would be either a teacher or my boss. So he left, he never became my boss, but he became director of photography at Orlando Sentinel. And now he teaches, he's a professor in Texas A&M or somewhere. And then this is Bill Wax, who ended up being my wife's boss for a while, was one of her clients. And so I made some lifelong friends and along the way. All right, so then I got an internship in Tallahassee for the Associated Press through my connection with Phil Sandlin, and I'm working for Mark Foley. And one of the jobs I did was spend a day with Bob Graham. So I did, very nice guy. And so I had to get the shot. Where those pictures are, I don't know. There's a lot of pictures I look for that, I know that when I left University of Florida and came to Miami, There was one box, I put everything in storage for a while, for about a year, then moved into a condo with my brother. And there was one box missing, and it was all my negatives from college years. Yeah. So all I have to go refer to are prints.
So he was doing a job for a day, sort of stuff?
That I was there for a day. Oh, no. I did a day in the life. Let's see if I can go reverse. Yeah, it was a day in the life of Bob Graham. And I was shooting it during my internship for AP, and so they put the pictures on the wire. And that's during the, during the day they stopped and took the picture. All right, so now, whatever moved or crashed, or there was a little riot in Gainesville one time. I'm there shooting it. Daily life. All right, and then I come home for breaks, right? So this is the Neville Johnson ride. There was Neville Johnson ride. Neville Johnson was a City Miami police officer. Louis Alvarez shot and killed Neville Johnson in a video arcade in Overtown neighborhood of Miami in 1982, and there were riots. And so I did this photograph, and now I'm sitting with Pete Weitzel. He's the managing editor of the Miami Herald. And I go and interview. I applied for an internship at the Miami Herald, but they called me that year and asked, that was in December. So in February, they called me, hey, we have a job opening. You want to come and apply? Well, I applied for an internship. No, we're interested in hiring you. Oh, okay, so now I come down to Miami. I interview about 4 editors, and I'm like, okay, I've got the job, until I hit Pete Weitzel. He was really difficult. He had some really tough questions. And he gets to this picture and he says, Al, that's police brutality. And I said, no, it's not police brutality. There's a looting going on, and they detain this woman, make sure, and I said, well, look at that, look at that club, look at that stunts, man, it's police brutality. He said, no, they just got her, tied up, make sure she doesn't run away. And he gets up, walks to the door, and now I'm pale, I'm sweating, my hands are sweating. And I said, well, I don't know if it's police brutality or not, but I shoot the pictures. I'll let the reader decide if it's police brutality. He went back, sat down, I got the job. So now I'm working for the Miami Herald. He wanted to make sure I was impartial. And it's like, yeah, I can be impartial. So now this is a darkroom first office was in Hialeah, and then we moved to an office in Doral. This is a brand new darkroom in Doral, and that's a police scanner there, similar to the one I had in my car. And my CB radio. And my enlarger, yeah, focal mat enlarger. Yeah, and I also had a budget. I had to run this show, It was something that Badavon showed me how to run a budget and make sure not to go over, but, use up the budget. All right, so now I'm shooting spot news for the Miami Herald. This is on 95, going to, some assignment, and this happens. So I pull over and on 95. We had at the old Miami, you all remember the old Miami Herald building? They would land choppers on the building, get on and go out and cover news. Now I fly a drone, but I can't get out this far. This is like, I don't know, 10 miles off the coast, 3 miles, I don't remember. But they're looking for this cargo ship flipped over, and they're searching for survivors. And this is a couple on Christmas Day, and they got robbed. And she's describing what happened, that the robber was choking her, and her partner was got beat up. So I went and did a story on tourists getting beat up. And then this is on 27th Avenue on the ramp at 27th Avenue, 836. And I think this probably would have been about 1983. Because I was probably leaving my house to go on the expressway to go somewhere. And I see the cement truck pulled over. And so I go to run over this guy, and I say, hey, I'm a photographer for the Miami Herald. I got a CB radio, a two-way radio in the car. You want me to call? And no, the police are coming. Someone's already called the police. Oh, okay. This is before iPhones, right? So I said, well, I'm a photographer for the Herald. Do you mind if I take pictures of you? You guys got a broken leg. No, go ahead. So, I asked him, you don't mind? Okay. Usually I don't ask, but there's things I learned as I go. I don't ask anything anymore. So this is I think this is on Palmetto. heading south. School bus, well, probably either migrants or I can't remember now. Some of the things this is one of the pictures I found in a box, no caption or anything. I just remember it. And so it's a bad accident on the expressway. I'm just shooting all the spot news. This is a robbery somewhere around Alapata. And this woman got hit in the head by a robber. And I'm shooting pictures of all this. This is Hialeah, some woman crashed into a store in Hialeah. And I just happened to drive by. And look, one of the things early on in the Miami Herald, we used to go out and shoot what we called CLOs, caption only. So we go, whatever it is, we shoot it and they run it on the front page of either 1A or the local front. And so, so I'm always chasing these kind of things. There's a fire in Overtown. This young lady was working, that was her shop. It's in Liberty City. Betty Hubcap.
Wow.
So was her name. And she's holding a DeSoto, DeSoto Hubcap. All right. So this is Maurice Ferre, who had he won several terms in office of city Miami mayor. And this is one of them he had just swept by. And that's the victory party. And this is the chef at Itching Post Barbecue on Okeechobee Road. You all remember that barbecue place? I like the simplicity of the portrait and all the logs and everything. So now I'm shooting sports all the time, and I'm shooting for the Herald. I go from Neighbors. I started for Neighbors for 3 years. That's where the opening position was, and developed my experience more, and then eventually got downtown. And now I'm shooting all sorts of assignments. And then I'm starting to travel. So one of the coolest things was I did get to do, one of my favorite assignments of the Herald was I get to do the 40th anniversary of D-Day, which I'm not going to show you here, but we followed Miami and Fort Lauderdale veterans and went and covered D-Day. And then I went for the 50th anniversary of Pearl Harbor and D-Day. That was my first foreign assignment, was 40th of D-Day, and which was awesome. But this was a hurricane in the Bahamas, and went and covered that. Down the Keys, there's a storm down there. Southernmost point. College graduations in Dade County. This is an author, Enrique Labrador de Ruiz, and he was a Cuban journalist, novelist, essayist, short storyteller, and poet. And so, I got to go in there and I have to, whatever interests me, capture. So I saw this portrait on the wall. I said, let me get a picture of you sitting on your couch, or sitting or standing. And so I was able to show that, just to add some context. And then I started shooting for Wishbook. Anyone heard of Wishbook? There's a section in Herald around the holidays. They look for families in need. So I did these portraits for Wishbook. This is a bar in Hialeah. Another club in Hialeah. This, I can't remember, Philbrick was a funeral home. I think this was a 1912 funeral car. And I shot that in Coral Gables. And the planetarium, I don't know whatever happened to that. There was discussion about when they opened up the new place. I don't know what happened to the projector, but that was the coolest thing when that would kick on. And that looks like me, but it's not me. Every time I look at that, it's God, that looks like me, but it's not. All right, and then I got to go to Cuba and for the Herald. So first time I went was 1988. And I've gone there several times since. The last time I was there was a little after Obama. I went for Obama and then did a couple of trips after that. And haven't been there since. Well, it's coming. So, leading up to it. So this is Mark Foley at the Orange Bowl in the 80s. That's after the internship. So I'm like, oh, my hero. And that's Phil Sandlin and Kathy Willens. This is a few years ago. We had an exhibit for Tim Chapman at History Miami. And so they showed up. And of course, they're my heroes. And then I started to meet collectors. And I started getting into collecting, you know, I was looking for Miami memorabilia. So I bought my first house in the Gables in 1983, a year before I got married to my wife, Cindy. And, but all the collecting was interesting because I started to think, oh, maybe I want to decorate the house with collectibles. And so, you know, so as I'm looking for stuff for this event, I'm like, oh, there's a collector. There's another one. Let me get that picture. And I downloaded off our archive that we had. I discovered a hidden archive that I didn't know about, I didn't have access to until like 2 weeks ago. So I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen these things in years. And so these are the kind of things that I found that I don't have prints of. There were digital files and that was about it. Some of this I did have. This is a Coconut Grove collective African mask. This is, what was his name? 32nd. Yeah, this 32nd Carl Way.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Alan, what's his name? Julian, right? Yeah, so Julian, that was what I got to meet him. And then I started collecting all these postcards. And I went to visit Alan Magluta, he's in the back. And I would go over there and buy postcards. And then, you know, I got to meet a bunch of folks that were collectors. And then, you know, some of that stuff I would use, like this postcard was mine. And then I would photograph copies of Julia Tuttle and Henry Flagler. Who's missing in this picture? There you go, Mary Brickle. She's missing. What the heck? All right. So then I met Seth Bramson, who's a railroad collector, and was the president of the Miami Memorabilia Collectors Club, and I'm one of the founders. And Seth Bramson, and Alan Crockwell was one of the founders and early members. Alan's right here, and Alan Magluta in the back. And so I collected all these, and the Miami Herald did a story on these collectors. So I photographed, you know, these folks. And Sam LaRue that was his collection, bus, plus much more. But that was a 1930s Coral Gables bus.
Wow.
And Phil Spool and with his collection, we would go and meet at his bank, right? Was it his bank? All right, so then Cesar Becerra, he was like a high school kid. We met him, and he comes over, he becomes a member, and he shows me this pole here. Where do y'all think that came from? No?
Brandon Park Blue.
There you go. That's sitting in my house right now. Crandon Park Zoo, that was the bridge at Crandon Park Zoo. Yeah. Okay, so all my memorabilia is not as old as she is right here. 105 years old when I took that when I took that picture. That was her birthday. 105.
At her house?
At her house, yes. Well, maybe. I don't remember. So memories do not exist in the mind's isolation, but are connected and stored in them. So that's Bruce Cooklet, author of Everything a Season. So one of the things that was sad to see, you know, I started my career taking pictures of boats racing at Miami Marine Stadium. There were friends that were on those boats racing. There's one friend of mine that he flipped his boat while he was out there, ended up in the Miami News. And it's like, God, I missed that picture. I need a long lens. And, you know, these are things that, you know, all I'm thinking is about photography. And now, you know, it's you know, sitting there wasting away. And this picture was taken in 2016. They're talking about saving the thing, and it's still 2024, and it still hasn't been saved. All right, so because I'm meeting all these you know, collectors, I gathered up some Miami Orioles, Miami Stadium pictures for something we were illustrating. and go out to Miami Stadium, and now I'm taking pictures on assignments that you know, the Baltimore Orioles playing there, the early Miami Marlins before the Miami Marlins of today, or the Florida Marlins. That is Sonny Hirsch, who's a radio announcer for ball games and also for University of Miami. All by Madeira's. And then I went out, this is, you know, all county. So every year we do all county sports athletes in different high schools, including LaSalle. I just noticed that the other day. What? Where? Wait, Westminster.
Oh, Pete.
You're on the left, Al.
Pete?
Lower.
There you go.
Alex Fernandez?
That's Alex Fernandez. And that's Gino Bimari, the one over in the right.
Oh my God, you're kidding. This guy? That's pretty good.
And that's Rex Barroso.
You don't mean Alrod? Oh, Alex Fernandez, okay. Okay. That's pretty good. The Loyola kid, who is it?
Rex Barroso.
Boy, I should have shown this picture before I stood up here and make a fool of myself. You have to give me a lift. All right, so anyways, that's my stadium. And then sometime, what year was that? So anyways, in '89, it was home to the Baltimore Orioles, and Nicaraguan refugees needed a place to stay. So the city decided to put them at the Orange Bowl wasn't available, so they put them here. Long hallways, food stations, you know, the vendors, and you know, you can buy food, so now they can serve people this food. And now the players are arriving for spring training, and they're having to deal with this. So and then you know, this is Rolando Llanes. He's a young professor of architect. And so he was trying to come up with efforts to save the stadium, because they were talking about tearing it down. And one of the reasons, one of the catalysts for that was the 1980 riots. And there were at least three people killed that were they were there to watch a game. And there was a murder, and then a couple of Good Samaritans got killed as well. And so the attendance went down. And so now the city is deciding to sell the place. And this architect was trying to figure out how to save it. And he had plans, but it didn't come out to fruition. So now I'm going over to the stadium to photograph it before it gets teared down. And this is, you know, one of the homeless there pretending to be playing baseball. This guy is let's see if I can find it. I thought I wrote it down. Oh, so this is Rolando Llanes. No, that's the architect. Benny Espinosa. He's 6'5", counts. He's there counting on his fingers all the ball players that he used to watch. Cal Ripken, junior and senior, Reggie Jackson, and Brooks Robinson. So some of the pictures that I did find in the archive, like this one, recently in the last week or so, had captions. And so this is one of them. So that's how I was able to get that info. So it was a real mess. And the infill, that's the infill. Look at that.
Wow.
I'll go back to that picture.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
Well, here, hold on. If you like that, I'm hitting the wrong button again.
Look at that. That's crazy.
That's the infield.
That's Brazilian pepper.
Is that right? So that's the sign, you know, out in front. So the stadium got torn down 1981. All right, so in 2001, the Hurricanes are celebrating their road to the Rose Bowl. So the last couple of games of the season, they're going undefeated, and they're out there before the season ends. They're already celebrating with their roses. Okay, they were led by quarterback Ken Dorsey, Clinton Portis, Andre Johnson. That's Clinton Portis. Because they've just been announced that they're going to the Rose Bowl after all. That's Jerome McDougal. And that's Jeremy Shockey celebrating, and Larry Coker winning the Rose Bowl. National champions, right? We're still waiting, right? That was 2002 Rose Bowl. So that's Andre Johnson and Clinton Portis. So now they're in Miami with Flagler Street celebrating their national championship. Yeah, the ticker tape was crazy. It was fun. Look at that. All right, the Orange Bowl, football capital of the world, right? So we got, for a long while, I think it was built in the 30s. So there's the Orange Bowl games, Super Bowls, Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins. Dolphins' last game at the Orange Bowl was in 1986, and they lost to the New England Patriots because they were going to Joe Robbie Stadium. And then the Hurricanes lose to the Virginia Cavaliers in 2007. Okay, last game. Okay. Yeah, Dwayne Johnson attends, and UM president Donna Shalala. Last game at the Orange Bowl. And here they come out for the game. They're all excited. And they're also in the fans in the stands, you know, thanks for the memories. So the game commences and they lose pretty big at the sack. I have a lot of these type of pictures. So I have celebrating pictures. I got a lot of losing pictures too, but different teams. So now they're cleaning up the Orange Bowls to sell all the artifacts, right? So they have a big, including all the urinals and everything. Yeah, I found that in the archive. Oh, I got to keep this one. All right, Dolphin Denny shows up. And look at all these people. This is the closing on the Orange Bowl. Look at all the people that showed up. It's not a game. It's just, you know, for the auction. And people showed up for the auction. This is people coming out of the tent. They were auctioning off all the stuff. Yes. Yes. Wait, I'm sorry. Larry Little. Then I think that's Kelly, right? Yeah. Chip Kelly? Yeah. And I signed off. There was a bunch of former ball players that were signing autographs. Okay, out with the old, in with the new. All right, so what happens at the Orange Bowl? They tear it down. All right. And so this is like, I grew up in the shadows of the Orange Bowl. I learned to drive in the parking lot of the Orange Bowl. Okay, with that duster. You know, my dad's car and then the duster. And so here it is tearing down. So this, you know, broke my heart seeing all this. You know, but here comes the Miami Marlins ballpark. Look at this little house right here. That's still standing last time I looked. Huh?
Too bad we don't have a professional.
Yeah. All right, so this is my photo part here in case there are any photographers. So this is like, I'm doing a photo shoot of Jeffrey Loria. So I go out the day before to scout out the place, right? And I said, where am I gonna take this picture? First time in the park. And I'm looking around trying to figure it out. And it needs to be a vertical. So I'm like, okay, if he's over here, you know, I can see the dome. This doesn't really work. And so I have a minder walking around with me, right? And so I said, well, pretend you're holding the bat, holding the ball, leaning on the bat, holding the ball. So I go to my editor at work. I show him the picture. He said, ow. No, hold on. Where's the stadium? All I see are rafters. And it's like, oh my God, you know, light bulb went off in my head. And I said, no, I got it. I know what to do. So I went up and, left, up in left field. So I've got someone, a friend of mine helping me. And, we start setting up out in the left corner of left field. And so I have him as a stand-in, and I set up, that's what it's, without a light, I put a light. Well, the sun's coming from the left, not the right, so I switched that. And then, it's okay, pretend you're holding the bat over your shoulder, the ball, I'm trying to be creative, right? So here it is for the real, I look goofy, and I start taking a picture, and it's like, I don't know, maybe take your jacket off. And it's like, I don't like it. So I keep working it, and then this is called a scrim. Over here, let's see, that's a scrim to prevent the sun from hitting the face. So I'm trying to just fill it with light, right? So what happens if you don't, you get, when the sun moves as you're working it, it starts to get, a hot spot in the nose and the forehead, and it's especially the hand right here. That's a hot spot, it's just distracting. So I move the scrim, and then I lean back, and it's like, no, don't lean forward. I don't do that. And no, that doesn't work. Looks working. And so I had him lean back and then toss the ball, and boom, there it is. So that's how it ended up. And that ball is really there. I didn't plant that. All right, so this ball, so that's the end of Marlins Park, right? And now we know what's happened there. So this is Cuban master sculptor Manuel Carbonell. And he made the Tequesta Indian sculpture, this one here. Well, both of them, where the Miami Circle is. So I'm covering the Miami Circle. I go out there and I meet, and there's the sculptor that stands over, the Tequesta Indian standing over where the Miami Circle is. So that's what it looked like when they were uncovering it. But before they uncovered it, it looks something similar to this, right? And I meet Bob Carr, he's the archaeologist. And he asked me, what do you think these holes are? I said, I don't know, they look like solution holes, I don't know. And, I don't know, the next day or a few days later, they announced it's the Miami Circle, and it's a ceremonial grounds. So this is, all these artifacts, Indian midden, they call it, this kind of small stuff. And so, they're doing the archaeological dig all around. They've already uncovered everything. Now they're putting it back to protect it. I guess those are axes that they used back then. And that's Bob Carr. Hold on. That's Bob Carr on the left here with his archaeologist Bob Carr and John Risizak. And that's the context of what it looks like. And this is all gone. What was the name of that hotel? DuPont, the DuPont Plaza, yeah, that's all gone. This was an archaeological dig over here. And there's a circle right there.
How did you get that photo?
Chopper. Pre-drones. All right, so now the Miccosukee is celebrating the saving of the Miami Circle. I'm wondering how I got that. Because it was before drone, so I must have been a chopper.
You just jumped.
Yeah. Yeah, had to be a chopper. I got really close. I'm surprised that pilot got me that close. Now that I see it so big, it's like, wait, hold on, that's pre-drones. How did I do that? That's Bob Carr at another dig. Downtown, yeah. I think that's the parking lot. I have back. Let's see. That's either the parking lot or Met what do they call it?
Indiana. Met one.
I thought I wrote it, but what'd you call it?
They called it initially MDM.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's got a name.
Met Square. Met Square. So in there is salvaged Indian, remains of what used to be part of the Indian village, and they saved it.
Smaller circle.
Yeah,
We actually have two of those, one on each side of the building.
yes. Yeah, this is the one side, and then to the north, I think, is the other.
Directly.
Yeah, and that's more enclosed. All right, and there's the Royal Palm Hotel. And Bob Carr with bricks from the Royal Palm Hotel looking into the window. All part of that Met Square. And that's key to the Royal Palm. That says Royal Palm.
Wow.
I should have flipped the picture, but. Okay, so, oh crap, I jumped the gun, missing the punchline. Okay, so Bob Carr, he's been all over the state of Florida, searching for, remains of ancient civilizations. And so one of the places he's been at was Joe Robbie Stadium. The site of that stadium, there was a Indian burial ground. And so there it is. Now the Dolphins left, the Hurricanes left, they went to Joe Robbie. Now it's Hard Rock, and they haven't won anything, right? But the Marlins did. They won the World Series at home and away, but now they're at Marlins Park. They haven't won anything. So they call it, there's stories about the curse of the Tequesta. And one of the guys that wrote about it was Ryan Yousefi for Miami New Times. If you just Google it, you find the story. It's interesting. It's coincidence maybe, but there's an Indian burial ground right there off site.
Were there human remains in that burial ground, or was it just?
Yeah, no, it's a possible burial ground. I'd have to ask Bob Carr. But it's between the 836 and the stadium, which is not a big distance. But from what I've heard, it's protected. You might not know it's there. And I think they give tours if you ask for it. They'll give a tour of that site. All right, so this is, have you heard of Orlando Capote?
Yeah.
All right, so residential area in Coral Gables, they tore it all down. He's the last holdout right there. Him and his mom. So this would have been, what year was this? I think it was 2017, 2019, when I went over and met him. I forgot to write notes on that. But anyway, there's him and his mom. She was 90 at the time, and that's the dad. So Orlando Capote is very sentimental, and he doesn't want to lose his house. Although this development is because it's all his memories. And you can, I'll run a video here real quick, and I'm ready for a video. So you'll see what he has to say. So 2019. That's his mom playing the piano. Outside the window.
This was my father.
So. Okay.
All right, now, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, 2021, there's another video, but I think, it's a kind of delay, so we can skip it. But basically I go back and you see it, all the construction around it
Crazy.
and, you know, how it's going up. And then I'll do another video after this.
Okay.
So we went back 3 times because it's, we'll end up both days.
Is the mother still alive?
She passed away during construction, and they had difficulty getting her out, which was one of his complaints. You know, they had stopped, you know, cut access on the front, had to go to the back and to, you know, construction and all that stuff. And then he's getting fined for now, that's all completed, for this carport, you know, that, because it's not, you know, there's no permit for it. I said, well, that was like buy from the 60s, you know, and then he's got to get a cover for it, and he's not up the code and all this stuff. And I told him, hey, you need to cut, when you're done, you need to cut the grass. Keep that. So, all right, so that's, yeah, the house still stands. All right, so that was, let me skip that. Oh, so that now, let's see, hold on. Hit the wrong button. All right, so that's today. Okay, I'm gonna run another video.
What's the name of this? The plaza.
The plaza, yeah. It's in the game. Ponce.
Where is that?
Oh, well, that's the whole thing. It's in the middle. The house is in there somewhere, right inside there. Between, this is a parking garage, well, this is all condos, right? Okay, and then the parking garage, I think might be this, and it's in between this building and that building there. Which is, and this is Orlando Capote, what we saw this year. Was it 24? I think we saw him at the end of 23 or beginning of 24.
Same thing.
Okay, February 24, I went back and visited him. So I'm gonna play this video.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn off this audio so you can.
Where was I? I had a little comment on it. Oh, I lost my place. Oh. All right, today my responsibility as a photojournalist is to tell stories through images. The power of an image, driving home the emotion, capture it and present it to the reader, my audience. That's what I love to do. I'm gonna zip through these. This is earthquake, one of my natural disasters, right? Earthquake in Colombia.
Who did you go there for? AT? or
No, for the Herald. It was all for the Herald.
From Herald?
Everything's mine, except for the beginning.
Did you go before Lucy and Lucille or after?
This is another earthquake.
Oh, that's a different.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is Port-au-Prince. This would have been, I think, 2010. Earthquake. This is a week after I had, he got hit by a car and he was just sitting there. This is a week after the earthquake. How come that is a delay?
Not sure why.
Sorry for the delay here. It's on a golf course at Tent City. The kids still want to play. And then this Hurricane Dorian a few years ago, went on there. And one of the things I always try to do is, you know, it's one thing to show the destruction, but I always try to show the humanity of what's happened. And so the editor, Rick Hirsch, is the one that decided to send me and put me on a chopper. The reporter couldn't get on the chopper. They put me on, I get there. So one of the things I needed to do was show the humanity. And I found this woman, that was her house, and that's all that's left of it. And so they ran that 1A the next day. And Rick said that up until that point, they hadn't seen pictures of people. It was all just buildings, the destruction. But so I think that served my purpose that day. That's a corpse. No, they own the business, so they're protecting the business.
Do you wear a mask in those situations?
Sometimes, yeah. In Haiti and here. There's a Coast Guard evacuations of the city. So of course I have pictures of Hurricane Andrew, but this is more volume of work. The stuff I had for Hurricane Andrew, I couldn't find much in our archive. All right, so let's see, where are we here? The daily. All right, so this is my daily assignments. I was heading to Gulfstream to photograph a horse race, and I see a plume of smoke on 95. So I called it in, went over there, and it was a condo building on fire. So, and then firefighters getting exhausted, taking a break. One of the coolest concerts, my favorite two concerts, I think, is Paul McCartney at the Hard Rock. And then a few years ago, Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger. Those are my favorites. And I actually, in Cuba, when I was there for Obama, Mick Jagger was performing
Wow,
in Cuba. So I choreographed the concert in Cuba.
Mick Jagger was performing in Cuba?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. I have those pictures, but not here.
Cool.
Alright. So now I'm covering, this is my daily assignment. So this is Art Basel. This is a day at Art Basel. Put that together. High school seniors. So this is, and here, one of my failures, I think. Love this picture. It's a great portrait, right?
Yeah.
This is during COVID. What's missing? Should be holding his mask in his fingers. Everything's perfect. Where's the mask? Oh. It's a nice picture of graduate.
Can't play trumpet with a mask.
Yeah, no. That's right, good excuse, good excuse. So this is my son, we did a story on, heat wave or whatever, what to do to cool off. And so I got my picture of my son to help me illustrate. I call him Dr. Doolittle. Oh, well, the headline says that too. Ron Miguel, he's great. He's a Nikon ambassador, but he's interested in photography. He's done really well. Here's post show in Miami. I could have just got a picture of him just standing by the boat. For me, that's not good enough. I have to be creative, bring in a light. It's the light on the boat and everything. That's part of the fun of doing my job. Be creative. So this is this guy lives. This is the guy that dropped the bomb. Albury. So this is Don Albury, right? So he I got ahead of myself. So this is he was the co-pilot on the boxcar that dropped the bomb on, I lost my place. Yeah, he dropped it on Nagasaki. He dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. And so I needed to illustrate that. And this was before Photoshop. So we had a system where you had a camera on a tripod and a device that would project the image in the screen behind it. And so when you take the picture, it comes together and that's what I got. So that's at the studio. Huh? Victory. Yeah, his quote was when he saw the plume of smoke, he was, oh my God. But he knows it helped end the war. And here's me playing again with lights. There's one light on the left and one on the right to illuminate the ground. And then, a long exposure to capture the sunset and all the lights from the police. Don't remember what the story's about, but that's Mickey Wolfson. Let's see if I can find my place here. Mick Wolfson, that's one. Yeah, that was Don Albert. He was the guy that dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. He was an Eastern Airlines pilot living in Coral Gables when I photographed him. Who knew, right? I mean, such a World War II veteran.
He was a wingman. The other guy was Tippett. Tippett was the one that.
That was the other. That was Hiroshima. Right. So at two different planes. So Albury was a co-pilot on the boxcar. So anyway, so Mickey Wolfson, he's the one that started the Wilsonian Museum on Miami Beach. And that's at Fred Charbel Gardens. That was this year. This was a teacher in Dade school. I go in to photograph him. He's got all these sculptures that he's got in his classroom. So I told the editor at work, hey, can I come back tomorrow and do this? So I went in there with lights and lit him up. And I thought it made a better picture.
No.
Again, look for CLOs. I spot this young girl as I'm driving by Coral Gables. And so I sit across the street and wait for something to happen. And she does that. It's like, okay, that's pretty good. You remember the Skull Sisters? Yeah. They were artists. They created all this 3D stuff. That is the woman who saved South Beach. Ocean Drive. Barbara Catherine. Yeah. And so they did a painting of her, three-dimensional.
There was a guy with her and they never discussed, they never said who was the mother. They always worked,
Oh, right.
they never said who was the mother.
Right. And this was the mayor at the time. There's Al Rod.
Wow.
Yeah, that's.
You're Al Rod.
Yeah, exactly.
That's A-Rod.
A-Rod, Alex,
No, that's not 2000.
yeah, Data 5000. Man, you know, I'm gonna bring my portfolio. You tell me what I do. Data 5000, so what Data 5000 does, wait. Data 5000, so backyard fights.
That was in the Billy Corgan film.
So,
Wasn't he in the Billy Corgan film?
yes, I think so, yes,
Got the backyard fight again.
yes.
Yes.
Is it backyard, is it, Data 3000? Data 3000. Okay, so he runs backyard fights where he went to this neighborhood and they were boxing, and there's a couple of pictures I have here of that. And he just sets up a ring in his backyard, and guys, you know, punch each other out. And people go kind of crazy. One of my biggest regrets in life, I was young, didn't know any better, but I miss Ali boxing in the Fifth Street Gym for training when he was older. I would have gotten him when he was older. And
Angelo Dundee.
Angela Dundee. Thank you. So they were at the arena for some event. Angela, I had spent some time with Angela Dundee on an assignment. So he recognized me, I think, lifts Ali's hand because he's already suffering from Parkinson. And, but you can see security freaking out. What the hell are you doing? And that's Braddock Holmes, one of my University of Miami's biggest fans. Holmes Braddock. One of Miami's biggest fans. He's like 90 now, I think.
He usually comes to all of the meetings. He just turned 98.
98. Okay.
Yeah, and he was the voice of the team way back in the 40s. Of course, they named school after him.
Yes. Who's that?
Abraham.
Anthony Abraham. And Abraham Chevrolet. All right, so I've photographed every president since Carter, but I couldn't find pictures of Reagan, but I did photograph him. So I'll just zip through this real quick.
Good.
That's Clinton and Homestead after Hurricane Andrew. That's Obama came down for something with the Everglades preservation. Trump describing about shooting squads that they used to have to kill whoever. And that's him announcing he's gonna run for president again in Mar-a-Lago. And Biden here for Surfside. And the one that lost. All right, this is Black Lives Matter protest. This is like in Miami. This was the first one that I recall for the start of the protest. It started in Wynwood, it ended up on 95, so I'm chasing these folks up 95, shutting it down. This is to do free trade in Americas. Quick story. So I see a friend of mine, he's a firefighter, and we're out in the middle of Biscayne Boulevard, and all the police are over on one side. I'm here with my friend, and then here, I had covered the protesters doing a march. They went all over, City Hall and all this stuff. Well, not City Hall, Miami Police Station, and went marched around that. come around. This is free trade in America. This is before Black Lives Matter. And so they're coming around the corner, and now I've got protesters over there, me in the middle, and the cops over there. And you know, Cotto, I gotta go. And I run over, Rolando Cotto, my friends know who that is. So I run over, get in front of these cops. I turn around, and now I'm surrounded by protesters. Like, oh, I don't really want to be here. And then this guy has got a pellet gun,
Oh, gee.
and that's pepper spray, and that's hitting my leg.
Ow.
So I got that picture, and then after that, I couldn't see for like 10 minutes. So, and then now this is during Black Lives Matter, when they went over to the police station, set this on fire on the 836. I didn't get any milk in my eyes. And it's like, it's on a different day. But it's a little out of order. All right, spring break, Miami Beach. So I've gone on to spring break, covered it for several years. So one of the things I do is, you know, wait for the moment. So I went ahead, I was gonna, you know, I was gonna talk about the water splashing. But I wait for a moment, and I'm watching them with the selfie stick, taking pictures. And, you know, I got all these pictures, and then there's one that I didn't see. This was before mirrorless cameras. So the shutter goes down, and you don't see the picture unless you go back and look at the back of the camera. But, you know, there's technology's changed. I went from film to DSLR to now I can see the picture in back of the camera, and now it's mirrorless where you see everything. There is no shot. It's going up and down. But so in this picture, it's just a photo. This is a photo editing thing. So I'm waiting for the moment. I'm shooting all this stuff, and I go to the office. My boss calls me. Roman Wiskowski calls. Hey, Al, you got something for 1A? I said, well, you know, I got some pictures. I'll let you know. And I go and I open it up, and this picture popped up, and it's like I called him. Yeah. I got a picture. I had no idea I had this picture. The moment where the water is crashing on her, you know, and then the selfie stick and her, you know, with the peace sign and, you know, all that stuff, and the water splashing is just like magic. Everything else before and after this moment was like, you know, before or, you know, not the peak moment, not the decisive moment. Now, you know, in the last few years, things have gotten ugly on South Beach as far as, you know, not this, no, not that. At night, people would protest or not, you know, just go crazy. They're not protesting, they're just going crazy. And so they had this year, they had the, you know, checkpoints, you know, try to prevent people from coming into all hours of night drinking, creating havoc. And so there's a little bit of mix in. I don't have it in order, but you know, police checkpoints they shut it all down. And this is a call. They're racing to the call. So it was quiet. It was pretty quiet this year.
Yeah.
You know, they really shut it down.
Until
No, I didn't
the
get
horses.
Oh, yeah. So anyways, I'm there, you know, I wasn't there for the killings and all that in the last couple of years, but I went this year to cover it. And so it was more like the previous years where kids are going nuts on the beach and drinking and all that. And so it was more or less like that this year. But, you know, so basically shooting pictures of everything I expect and the confrontation with people and the cops, you know. So I got a little of that. And then this showed up and I was like, this was totally unexpected. I did not visualize this at all. This guy on a horse on Ocean Drive.
Everybody thought it was fake.
No, not fake.
Oh, I know, people thought it was fake, though, they couldn't believe it.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, crazy.
Right, so it was just like, what?
All right, so one of the things I do is visualize. I try to visualize the moment before, let me see my screen, before it actually happens. So at LaSalle, I was a special teams captain, but during the game, I was third string. I didn't play much, except when, you know, we had to kick the ball or something, or return. And that's the only time, but I was a special teams captain. Everybody else was bigger than me. And so I didn't play much. But so this, after a game in between Belen and LaSalle in 1975, there was a Miami News article quoting our team's quarterback, Bill St. Pierre, as saying, visualizing changes reactions into reflexes and helps to bring things quicker, helps to do things quicker and better. Visualizing is a technique I use today as a photojournalist. And I learned that from Carmen Grosso, our coach, defensive coach. Just like I would anticipate the ball carrier's movements for a tackle in the 70s, today, visualizing helps me prepare and be ready before the moment. I visualize and place myself in a position to capture the light, the emotion, the movement, and composition, all colliding in a split second for the decisive moment to tell a compelling story in a single photograph. In the sports story, Bill describes techniques like a moving picture in slow motion. Grosso taught me how to visualize at practice every day. I'm forever grateful for what I learned on the football field and how ILS prepared me for success in life. So this is, championship trophy, state championships. I think this is Northwestern, and they're celebrating. And I'm there. I'm expecting, the reaction. I'm capturing decisive moment. I'm working with the lights, chasing the light, and capturing, visualizing what's going to anticipate. How I anticipate it. I'm not standing back. I'm in there. And I see this woman walking over to the players as they just lost the game, and so I'm reacting to it. I framed the image, and then she comes over and hugs the player, and I got the moment to bow and head. This picture here, I'm shooting in the state championship to give all the players a medal. They put it on the medal, and I'm like, I've got that. Let me see what else I can get. And I see this player running with the trophy, the state championship trophy, towards the stands. And so I start running, trying to keep up with him. And just as I get in front of him, he stops, raises it as the quarterback jumps on. And I visualized that before it happened. Okay, so that's something I learned from Carmen Grosso. Visualize the moment. Okay, here's backyard fights with down at 3,000 or 5,000. So, all right, so this is cool. These guys boxing, I'm getting it, but that's not good enough for me. I'm visualizing, I need to get them close. And sure enough, they move over and I get that. And I was like, oh, okay, I like that better. The punch, I still get the storytelling, that it's in a backyard, it's videotaping. This, I've got him serving and all that. And let me get low. Get in the photo well, that's where the video cameras are. Let me get in there, get low, court level, eye level. And sure enough, the ball comes up close and I get them, look at the eyes and everything. When I try to get low for sports because it just accentuates the eyes more. There's one thing a photograph must have contained the humanity of the moment. This kind of photography is realism, but realism is not enough. There has to be vision, and the two together can make a good photograph. That's by Robert Franklin. So here I visualize, I photographed the family. This is a mother on her deathbed with her children and grandma. And I frame it and I wait for the moment. And sure enough, grandma puts her hand on her daughter's forehead and puts her arm around the grandson. And I got the picture. And I just waited for the moment. This is three girls. These are students at Harvard High School. This is one of the students who were murdered on campus, and this is candlelight picture. Graduates at University of Miami. There's a pond. I see them walk to the pond, and I'm running over there. And they get in. They start celebrating. They kick with the champagne. And they kick it. And I'm like, I'm ready. I see these girls sitting there at a school in Hialeah. Framed it all in I like the color of the wall, the color of the uniforms, everything looks good. Now I'm just waiting for the moment. So I'm visualizing something's gonna happen. And sure enough, she blows a kiss to her teacher. So football, I get low, I anticipate the catch, capturing is. This just won in the NFL Hall of Fame. It won second place. That was last year. Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill catch, TD catch.
Whoa.
This is Robert Hunt. This is the play that didn't count. So he catches. They toss him the ball. He was not an eligible receiver. By getting low, I can see the eyes into the helmet's a lot easier. All right, so I grew up in Miami, right? Anybody ever experienced snow that much? Like, do you remember the first time you experienced snow?
Yes.
Well, I've been up north, I've seen snow, I've gone in the mountains and seen snow, but I never really worked in the snow, right? So I go to the game, and, you know, this is a typical native Miami, right? I was born in Miami. So I go to the game, and I see snow start falling, it was in Pittsburgh. And, you know, little snowflakes coming down. So, oh, how pretty, it'll fluff off, it'll just fluff off, don't worry about it. Okay, and all of a sudden I'm getting soaked. So I run in, I put on my rain gear and everything. I run out, I take a knee. There's no one near me, no one around me. I take a knee in the end zone because they're all covering Pittsburgh. They're on the other side. I'm covering the Dolphins. And Ryan Tannehill, you know, breaks the line of scrimmage, runs in for a TD, and I got the picture, got sports right. No, so that was my experience with snow the first time. Snow, actually snowed. And that was like, you know, I don't know. That was, anyways, coming off coming after game after win. Panthers. I like, one thing I like to do is portrait sessions. So I had to get a picture of some of the Marlins ball players. That's my setup. Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Bam Adebayo. So all this stuff is uncreated. So basically, oh, let's go back. So Jimmy Butler, I'm like, do this, do that. Sometimes the players are receptive. Sometimes they, you know, they're just like, you ask them to smile, not smile. They react different ways. They just like, you know, Jimmy Butler doesn't smile. He's serious. He won't look at it. And so I asked him to turn because I want to see Butler. And, you know, I've got different players doing different things. So I let him turn and I'm asking him to do something. He can't hear me. It's in a big, you know, it's in the gym, right? The practice gym for the Heat. And he can't hear me, and I'm saying something. So he turns and says, "What?" It's like, okay, got it. We're good. So he's standing on a ladder. None of these guys jump. Taking their pictures. That's by him. He's like, what do you want me to do? That's me rapping caution tape. Hassan Whiteside. Okay, so here's some of the last coaches for the University of Miami. Football is Mark Rick. Cindy helped me with this. So basically what I envisioned was have Mark Rick pretending he's writing on a chalkboard, but I don't have a piece of glass and plexi that I'm gonna put up there. So I drew that all up on paper. That what looks like smoke is lens flare. That worked for me. And so I left that in. But Cindy, who's a graphic designer, I drew up all the X's and O's, and then she placed them in the frame. And so that's all. And so Mark Rick's just standing there, you know, it's like, no, like with a piece of chalk, right? I said, no, pretend you're actually writing on a chalkboard. And it's like, that's it. So it actually looks real. Looks like he actually played along. Not everybody does it. You know, Manny Diaz, try to get him to smile. No. Wouldn't do it. Oh, and definitely not Mario Cristobal. He won't, no. I try to get him to lower your chin. Lower your chin. You know, he just won't do it. Smile, do something, anything. You know. Couple of high school coaches. I like doing it in the, you know, locker rooms. You get props. Love all the props. You know, it helps. High school. That's it. I can't remember. What else I got here? Tyler Van Dyke, Eric King. These are all for the special sections of the Miami Herald. Jalen Phillips. Jalen Ramsey.
Wow, that's really cool.
So this guy here is a marine biologist studying at FIU, and he plays football. And Devon Strickland. So that's how it turned out. That's the 7. All right, so these are Robert Sullivan and Pavon. And so that's a pond that we created, a pond, plastic. And so there is, basically doing that. And then the water being going in. Okay, power of image, driving home the emotion. Let me see where I'm at here. How much time we got? We good?
We're a little long.
3:48 right now.
3:48? Okay. All right, today my responsibility as a photojournalist to tell stories through images, the power in image, driving home the emotion, capture it, and present it to the reader, my audience. That's what I love to do. All right, well, I can't find it. Anyways, so I'm looking for, whether it's the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat, I'm always trying to capture the emotion of the moment and bring it home to the reader. One of the coolest things was this Super Bowl, Kansas City at Hard Rock Stadium. And I go to Kansas City last year, worst experience of my life covering. It was so cold, my hands were turning blue. They literally were. It was so cold there last year. But I go into the media room and it's hanging on the wall up there. And I thought that was pretty cool. Totally unexpected to see that. Braxton Berrios. That's during introductions that come out. Oh, why is that there? See, I forgot, I left that in there. That's Dolphins reaction. One of the things is you always got to be watching the game. A lot of times we're yapping with the photographer next to us and whatever. And, you're not paying attention or you're chimping, which is, you take a picture and then you look at the back camera, instant gratification, take another look at the back camera. I can't do that. So if I did, I would miss this picture. So that's Dolphins celebrating as Brett Favre was walking away. So that's between plays. If I'm not paying attention, I would have missed it. I can't remember this guy's name, but I was gonna look it up, but I forgot. But anyways, he's pissed. The Canes just lost, and he's coming at me.
Oh, gosh, whoa.
And after this, that rest of the season, they would just cover him with towels and walk him off, and one guy on either side. So because he had an issue after losing games. All right, so this is a video. Ooh, hold on. Should we put sound and all?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this off and you can turn it.
This, I'm gonna zip through a bunch of stuff. One of the things, 2 stories left. So I went flying in Marissa with Dade. Like I said, I've been to Cuba several times. And then there was that big exodus in '94. So this is, and one of the things I did was, one year, I went to Mexico to photograph some of the Cuban immigrants that were going over there. And so I met, Amauri Gutierrez, right? And so there he is in Mexico with his buddy. What's his name? I forgot his name. So Amauri shows up in Miami, and now he's performing at the club in Little Havana. Yeah, like I said, last thing I did was prepare the text where I am. But anyway, so now he's in Miami. And so what better song to this video than the song that goes with Baceros? So he performed the song for Baceros. So that's what, this is 1994. I'm in Kohima shooting these pictures. All right. All right, so then years go by and we've heard rumors of Fidel dying and he dies. And so finally I'm watching the news and, okay, this looks real. So I run over to, first I covered a Pope in Cuba, because things were changing under Obama and opened up relations. But so, actually, I got ahead of myself. So I go to, because things were opening, so we went and covered the Pope visiting Cuba, and then now I'm there. Obama's going to go with Raul Castro, and so these are some of the shots I did that year. And I went multiple times over the years, so this is a mix So there's a tobacco farm. They have graffiti in Havana too. Florida, little store. It's mostly what this is in Havana, or right outside Havana. So, so Obama announces he's going to go to Cuba, and so I go to Versailles, and there's a big debate on the street, out in front of the restaurant. This guy who's pro-Obama visiting, and a guy protesting against it. That's what I call the decisive. Let me go back. This is what I call the decisive moment. Chasing the light, decisive moment, composition, visualizing something's gonna happen. So, all right, so I get into Cuba, and I'm touring Havana, looking for pictures, and I noticed this. Oh, look, this is great. Showing Havana, and showing Obama with robe, and what's underneath there? That omen is what I see. So sure enough, Raul tries to take advantage of the situation, and Obama, allows his hand to go limp instead of throwing a fist up in the air.
These things are orange.
Oh, and this should have been earlier. Oh, no, this is it. This is where I hear this news about Castro dying, and out of multiple times of hearing this was sounding believable. So I went to Versailles, and this is the picture I got. I'm chasing this guy's light. He's got a little frizzy light, which is a light on top of the video camera. And so he's illuminating this drum player. And now I'm chasing Fidel's ashes in Havana, and all the way to Santiago de Cuba. These are the scenes I see along the way. So I see these group of kids, and they put their hands down. I take the camera, take a picture, and they're saluting. I put the camera down, and they pick it up, and they salute you. That was a little odd. But, and then so in 1988, I went for the 35th anniversary of the attack on Moncada barracks, which is what pretty much started the revolution with Fidel Castro. And here we are chasing the ashes in front of Moncada barracks again. And that's the next scene. The truck broke down in front of Moncada barracks. And I'm racing, trying to catch up and get this picture. That's his ashes in there.
Forever.
And, things continue. This is a Raptors boat from Cuba in front of Surfside. And I'm on a boat taking pictures of this, and this pulls up. There was actually, a couple miles along the beach, and they were taking it for, wherever it is they're taking it. Okay, photojournalists risk their lives to raise awareness and spread a message that can actually have a bigger impact than the limited help that they can offer an individual. The power of an image. This is one more video. Last one. Okay, so this happened 10 years ago. This year was 10 years ago. And, you know, as I said, what I'm trying to capture in my images is the emotion of the moment. But for me, the last thing I want her to see is me when I'm taking pictures. But I know, I know that, that I have to do my job. I have to, this is gonna draw attention to whatever plight this may be, right? And hope to make a difference. So, let me start from the beginning. So, all right, so I'm gonna close with the rest of the story. I'm traveling west on the 836 and on the Dolphin Expressway, right by the airport. And SUV in front of me stops. And I just gotten off the phone with my friend Steve Mitchell. And you know, I hear this screaming. The car stops in front of me. I stop at 836. Traffic on the 836, no big deal. So I hear the screaming, and so I look at my phone, and I've hung up on Steve. I look at the radio, and it's not on. And so I look in the rear mirror, and it's like nothing going on, and I turn around, and I see basically this woman with holding the baby in her hands, and it's a limp blue baby that stopped breathing. And oh my God, you know, so I get out, my hands are shaking, and I ask her if I can help, you know, I was like, the baby stopped breathing. And so I turn, and Lucilla Godoy pulls up an SUV in the next lane, and grabs, keeps her kids in the car, and then comes over and grabs the baby, turns the baby over. Baby's name is Sebastian. Turns Sebastian over and taps him on the back. And I was like, okay, that looks like the right thing to do. Let me find more help. I turn and I see a police car way down the road stuck in traffic. So I race over there and knock on the cop's window. He sees me, I see him. I get to the car, I hit the window. He finally lowers it, and I tell him what's happening. There's a baby, it stopped breathing. He turns on the lights, gets there, and by the time I get back to the car, I see this. And I was like, okay, he's got help. Let me go ahead and grab my cameras in case somebody asks for more. I need a picture. So I start taking pictures, okay? And the first thing that happens, she's looking at me wondering, what the hell is he doing? Me taking pictures of this drama, right? But I have to push myself. You know.
So what you did there was you made sure that you positively affected the scene,
Yes.
and then you photographed, as opposed to this old thing that we believed decades ago where you don't involve yourself with the scene you do, which is ridiculous.
Yes, correct. I don't, like I said, I don't want her seeing me taking pictures, and you know, I feel horrible, but I have to overcome my emotions and capture the image. History demonstrates that compelling images can produce unforeseen and often beneficial results. A still photograph can change the course of history and affect policy, raise awareness, and cause leaders to act. And in this case, maybe it can inspire others to become trained in CPR. And to swiftly offer their assistance to those in dire need. Little Sebastian de la Cruz stopped breathing for a second time. Okay, there's Pamela, his aunt. This is his aunt. And it was just the two of them in the car. And Pamela begs for the baby back from the police officer. And by then, there's three police officers. They've arrived on the scene. And I'm shooting pictures. She gets it, and I shoot this, you know, I continue photographing the situation. And she drops down, and you know, and I photographed that. 11 frames in, I think, 2 seconds. So my photographs have raised that awareness. Years of experience prepared me for that day. Respond as a humanitarian first and a photojournalist second. Once the story hit the internet, it went viral. Good Morning America was at my house till 3 a.m. 3 hours later, the phone started ringing again at 6 a.m. And yes, baby Sebastian is okay. So that's the mom invited me to the house, and I spent time with the mom and the aunt with baby Sebastian. Then mom was pregnant at the time, she had a baby. So we went back for that. And then Sebastian turned 1 and we went and
What was
celebrated.
wrong with Sebastian? Why did
He had a couple of cysts in his throat and it prevented him from breathing. So that's what they discovered once they went in at the hospital. And there's baby Sebastian. That was 10 years ago in February. And so I'm back photographing them and they're talking about the picture.
Wow.
And that's the 3 of them, mom and the aunt, and Sebastian, who's 10 now. And, all right, so one of the things I do is, I don't know if I said it before, when I'm doing all this, I like being a fly on the wall, unless I'm doing portraits. But I don't want anybody to even know I'm here. You know, I'm like the guy, fly on the wall. I don't exist. Until I hooked up with this camera company. It's a camera bag company, Think Tank Photo. And so I pushed their product. And I said, well, I talked to my wife, how am I gonna push their product? They gave me a bag that I really didn't, I really couldn't use it. It was, they had all sorts of bags. These are all the bags I do use from Think Tank Photo. And I said, well, my wife, I got this one bag that I didn't want. And she says, well, why don't you have a raffle? Well, how am I gonna do that? I said, get on social media, get on Facebook. Oh, okay. So I got on, that's why I got on Facebook. So now I'm on Facebook. that was like, I don't know, how many years ago is that? So anyway, so I pushed those back. So I need to, and that's me. You go to my link, you get a free product. I got a cut of the sale. So, but anyways, any questions? I'm sorry it's taken so long. Yes.
Been great.
Do you carry a camera in your pocket all the time?
Yeah. You know, when I do video, I do it on my phone. Yes.
So when you went to Haiti for the hurricanes, did you have an assignment, like, or did you just like go impromptu because you knew it was like?
No, it's always on assignment. Carol Guzzi, 4-time Pulitzer Prize winner, she used to work in Miami Herald. She would go on her own time and then collect afterwards and get everybody upset because she left to go do something. So, right? I mean, that's what she did.
Yeah.
But no, generally it's on assignment. I'll do every once in a while, come up with my own story idea. Or I'll hear something and push it along. But yeah, usually it's on assignment. Yes.
Where does the creative process begin at the paper? Does it begin with a headline or your image?
It's an assignment, and then I gotta figure out what the story is, because the assignment doesn't usually tell me what the story's about. So I have to make the call, ask the reporter, and then whatever the story is, that's what creates the, okay, there's art and there's photojournalism, right? So there's art, the photograph has to tell a story. If it's artful, then that makes a great image. But if it's art for the sake of art, it's not photojournalism. And so many times a photographer will create a beautiful image, but it doesn't tell a story, and so it fails. So I try to be creative, have all those elements, the light, the decisive moment, the composition, to be artful, but it needs to tell a story. Yes.
Question.
Yeah.
You mentioned you have a phone in your pocket.
Yes.
Have you ever used your iPhone have you ever used a photo that you shot from your phone in your pocket?
Yes. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what camera you use, you gotta have a good eye.
Yeah.
And so the phone, quality is not as good, but you can get good pictures. And for video, I'm using the phone a lot more rather than having a video camera, because it's too much. I got cameras, like sometimes 2-3 cameras, and then with different lenses, and then I use the phone for the video.
And you're shooting a drone too now.
And I fly the drone when I need to.
Right.
It's just a lot of, it's a lot. And then I try to separate the still cameras from the video. And if I'm carrying a video and the stills, or if I'm trying to shoot video with the still camera, I'm gonna miss pictures. I already missed pictures. But I try to simplify it by using the phone, and the quality is pretty good. So, yes.
Do you own the rights to all your photographs?
No.
In other words, do you keep them or is it based upon?
Is this being recorded?
The reason I ask is I buy a lot of photographs on eBay and there's a lot of your photographs.
Oh, you've noticed.
Yeah.
That's a whole story. That's a baseball collector that made a deal with the Miami Herald
That's what I'm very
to pick up our archive.
Yeah.
In return, they were gonna digitize it all. And, so that's this archive that I had access to in the last couple of weeks with a lot of those images that they digitized, poor quality. There was a lot of issues, but he is, don't know if he served his term yet, but he was arrested and had 12 years for fraud. And so what happened to the collection? I mean, it was massive warehouse with stuff. And I don't know if it's been sold or if it's still his company that's selling all the actual prints, which would include my images. And that's why I say, oh, I'm finding stuff like all the Bobby Maduro stuff and the early Orange Bowl stuff I'm finding in that old archive.
So you found the archive that they allegedly shot when they took the pictures and
yeah,
put them on eBay so we could buy our art back if we want.
yeah. So there's reporters that have actually bought things on the eBay that it's a print that used to be an archive, or but it's
made yourself with your own hand.
yes. And then there's one photographer, his driver's license was ended up on eBay, and so that was a problem. There were red flags all over the place, and the archivist at the Herald at the time was trying to push donate to History of Miami or the University of Miami, but they wouldn't have been able to digitize it as quickly as this guy supposedly was supposed to do. But just what I've heard and what's alleged is that he reduced the file size to save room on the archive, so we didn't get what I guess was expected. Yeah.
So was it the negatives that were donated and they're making prints of them, or they were old prints that were?
Old prints, and